respect the mug and tame the cunt. Okay, guys, hold on. What's going on? That's not supposed to happen until the end of the movie. We're indoors. Think about where would the frogs even be coming from? It doesn't make sense. Plus, who's even dropping them? Well, the frogs don't make sense. None of this makes sense. Plus, the script was supposed to be dropping mugs. It's a parody. Magnolia. What?
If I drop the mugs, they'll break.
Well, that's why we have the crash pads.
Okay, just a minute.
What?
Just a minute. Okay, I'll throw down the mugs.
What? I can't hear you.
Join Mug Club today for $89 annually or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including 100% more of this show.
This is the largest stream on the planet right now.
Help after debt forgiveness, please.
What's wrong with that, man?
From the 80s.
I'm sorry, I forgot the sip, but that's because this is going to be a day. Tool Man just looked at me with I could see a simmering rage.
No. Turn so we can see.
This is going to be great.
Do you want someone to bring you another pair of headphones, Tool Man?
They are like laced in here.
You really don't have snare in your headphones.
Yeah.
He's got a snare in his
We're
headphones.
about to go live. My headphones broke. What? My headphones broke!
Just angry.
What are you going to do? You just got to laugh right now.
Yeah, well, let's see. Can we see if we can get him some headphones at some point and fix that in this wonderful
give me the mine at my desk.
I cut that from the budget.
All right, whatever. I'll work with him, whatever.
Yeah, well, he's a miser. Next thing you know, students will be protesting him.
They kind of are.
Yeah.
All right, we have
tape headphones.
We have a lot to get to today. Well, first off, though, I want to tell you, Monday night, we're doing a special, because we do these streams with you, right? Town halls, obviously, and we do the debates, but we haven't done one in a while, and we have the biggest announcement we have ever made here at Louder with Crowder. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing a live stream. It'll be interactive with you. I don't want to give it all away right now, but there's some. It's a biggie. Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
And drinking game.
There will be a drinking game.
As always.
It'll be fun, but laying out a roadmap with some special surprises. So that's it. I leave the rest to you. The people. Bring up the overlay here, the rundown. We have an update on Columbia and UT Austin. We had some boots on the ground there behind the scenes, our undercover unit, but kind of. The truth is, Columbia is just really gay. All right. Now with UT, or Little Gaza, as some people are calling it, we call it that. The media right away started going to lies, including local media, right? They tried to make these claims that the students are peaceful. They tried to make the claims that, journalists are being roughed up, that the police are being militant. None of that is true. And more importantly, they've tried to evoke this sort of comparison, this visceral reaction to Kent State. I want to ask you, what do you know about Kent State? We're going to touch on that a little bit. it's one of those, it's just sort of been accepted that, and by the way, not saying that there was no tragedy, but do you know what happened at Kent? Do you know the reason that the National Guard was sent in? A lot of people forget that tidbit, and we're just seeing a repeat. I've talked about it this week, and you guys have asked me, Mug Club Chat, hey, you've said that there really was no golden era of journalism, or you say that back in the 60s, the protests, they were still just as disruptive and violent. I don't remember that. Yeah, you're misremembering. You are misremembering. These people today are San Francisco retreads who are even more sensitive, if you can believe it. And burglary tourism is also up in California right now. That's a new term. Burglary tourism. Yep.
That's a thing?
Not to mention the entertainment rape.
Oh my gosh.
That's one the bystander likes to watch. They're using the term now, burglary tourism, with a straight face. And I don't know if you know this, it turns out that if you actually tolerate and encourage certain kinds of behavior, namely crime, you get more of it. And I'm Mr. Traditional. I'm anti-crime, which I guess makes me tough on crime, and that's used as a pejorative. I'm okay with it. So if at any point today you see this, head on over to Rumble. And by the way, that's going to be a big part of Monday's announcements.
Yeah.
It's time for everybody here to decide if you want to pick up your arms and fight. Figuratively.
Figuratively.
Figuratively. Mostly. All right. It's a live show, I should say, weekdays 10 a.m., but I don't want to say it because Monday is 8
PM.
How are you, Mr. Cheapskate?
I'm just basically saying that duct tape can fix a lot of problems. We haven't tried it on this one yet. I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
I'm fine. I do a lot better if I could wring the neck of some of these pro-Hamas protesters. Not the people who just show up, and they don't know what they're doing. The people who, really actually like hate the Jews and say death to America.
Yes.
Not that it would be legal, but just a little bit of
But in another world. Also, remember to breathe.
Yes. Remember, she asked you.
He doesn't remember to breathe.
Name that reference to an early aughts emo song. Comment below. And how would you handle these protesters, these pro-Hamas would-be terrorists? In third chair, when you hear this, you know him, you love him. You thank him for his service every single time, especially at his live shows.
Yeah.
And you can see his comedy special, American, right here on Mug Club. Follow him on Instagram. How are you, Josh?
Good. Interesting question. How would you deal with the protesters? I had my own way of doing it. Yesterday, I went to go deal with these protesters. I didn't realize. I thought they were, University of Texas. I thought it was a UTI protest.
Oh.
I was like, I hate UTIs. And then, oh shit, wrong protest.
And you got sponsored by Ocean Spray.
Yeah, but that's a good paycheck.
It is
$12 a month.
It's a good paycheck. When I watch those commercials, I didn't know that cranberries float in a bog.
I don't know if they do.
They do.
They do, according to the commercials and the guy.
I've never been in a bog.
I don't even like cranberry juice, but he makes me buy it. Before we get to anything else,
It's good for your
did you
TI.
I'm so glad we added this.
did you see this? Donald Trump responded last night. Okay, so Bill Barr endorsed Donald Trump.
Right.
All right. So let me lay the stage here. And President Donald Trump, has not been a huge fan of former AG Bill Barr. You guys know this?
You think? I think he's been in a fight with Bill Barr, in fact.
But the reason I love this is because President Trump cannot, he just can't pass over a compliment. He needs to highlight it. But he also can't hide his disdain.
Oh, yeah.
So he found himself in a bit of a quandary. And I think, given the circumstances,
Nailed it.
He nailed it. Yes. So he posted
Probably the most Trump post ever.
on Truth Social, hearing the endorsement, he said, "Wow! Former AG Bill Barr, who let a lot of great people down by not investigating voter fraud in our country, has just endorsed me for president, despite the fact that I called him weak, slow-moving, lethargic, gutless, and lazy." New York Post.
Gave the reference.
If you don't believe me, here's where I said it.
Click the link.
A bibliography of his lethargy. Based on the fact that I greatly appreciate his wholehearted endorsement, I am now removing the word lethargic from my statement. Thank you, Bill MAGA 2024.
Still weak, still slow.
He's not lethargic, still slow-moving, like a turpid, unsexy sloth.
Some people call him lazy and lethargic. I just say lazy.
I just say lazy, slow-moving. I don't say lethargic. Fat!
That is so freaking hilarious.
He's the kind of guy who still uses the term fatso, I guarantee you. Like, look at you, fatso!
It sounds so funny in his voice, though. I would not be insulted at all. He said, "Hey, fatso," I'd be like, well, I'll vote for you, I guess.
Like the top was an insult enough, and then he does the bottom. Like I didn't see it coming. He's like, despite the fact that he let people down, I'm like, that's Trump.
Right.
And then he goes, I'm now removing the word lethargic. The rest of the insults stand. So great.
It's like he has I can't believe I just forgot the name of the roast master who was in Toy Story.
Jeff Ross.
No, not Jeff Ross. What's Don Rickles. I don't know. I was like Dom DeLuise. It's like he has a Don Rickles thesaurus. So he's like, "You're dummy. You're lethargic. He's fatso." You just see, literally, if you read this as Don Rickles, what are you, weak? Huh? Slow moving? Lethargic, gutless, lazy. Why don't you go to Alaska and stop bothering anybody? All right, I won't call you lethargic. You're just a fatso, okay? That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, Trump.
I would just love to see him watching television. I would love to watch him watch television.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what President Trump would do when this pops up on his screen. This next story, here's a drag queen who taught children to chant. And at a certain point, you realize, like, people will say, "Hey, you're grooming kids." Let's define what that is. You are either desensitizing them or you are trying to mold them, propagandize them to your specific way of thinking. And I would argue that secularism is basically a religion. It's cult brainwashing. I certainly think that taking children, putting them in front of a terrifying drag queen, and the drag queen trying to insert support for Palestine and Hamas would qualify. None of this is relevant to young children, but this is happening in your country, if you can call it that.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to shout, "Free Palestine." Can I hear that? Free Palestine! If you're a drag queen and you know it, shout, "Free Palestine!" If you're a drag queen and you know it and you really want to show it, if you're a drag queen and you know it, shout, "Free Palestine!" Excellent.
I don't hear any fathers.
Yeah. I don't, but I do spy with my little eye what looks like a Krampus Christmas angel. That's
Exactly That's exactly what it looks like.
yeah.
It's you've heard of Mrs. Claus, Mrs. Krampus?
Yes. Mrs. Krampus.
Well, Mr. and Mr.
Well, he hopes one day to get cramps and all the splendor that is woman. But you're not!
Oof.
Now, a couple of things here. First off, if you're a drag queen and you know it, what's that saying? You're all drag queens, kids. Remember they always used to say, "Hey, you're all a little gay." So just please catch on to that subtext. They didn't just come in and say, "I'm a drag queen and this is horribly inappropriate and you're children and I'm a narcissist who needs to see myself perform in a sexual manner for children." They said, if you're a drag queen and you know it, let's think of what that song is, what that game. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Thank God we're on Rumble. And remember, Palestine is one of the least gay-friendly areas in the world ever, 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 ever. They'd kill you. That brings us to this week in Biden.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
4 more years. Pause.
4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years!
Folks, in a sense, I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
And then we come back here to the state of Florida, where Ron DeSantis felt like he needed to run for president, and so 15 weeks wasn't good enough. We had to go to 6 weeks. We are going to vote. We are going to take back Florida, and we're going to make sure that the true champion for reproductive health care, and not just reproductive health care.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
That last one is so sad. He doesn't just go to shake hands with someone who isn't there, but he puts his hand out as though they were. Like there's a dust-shaped cloud of where an admiral used to be. Like, there's no, it was right here.
And
the aide's like, Mr. President Biden, is the admiral in the building with you now? Do you see him now?
Oh, don't play jokes. You can see him.
It's no joke.
I see admirals.
You can see him too.
Did he also say that he said that we
Can't be trusted?
can't be trusted?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And by the way, just on the last one that you said, the cameraman was trying to help him out. He's like, if I zoom out far enough, I'll see the person he's trying to shake hands
Yes,
with.
exactly.
Yeah.
You see, it goes, it's slow, and then it's like, it goes out a little bit more, and it's like, vroom, it goes out real wide.
there were
Nobody there.
Two
What the hell?
cameraman angles that were just great. There was that one, and then the one in the classroom where it showed almost
Yeah.
nobody was there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of base cameramen there.
And the White House is running cover. Do me a favor, research and pull this up. I believe there's a White House transcript of the first one where he read the word pause.
Yeah.
And they say inaudible.
4 more
instead of
years.
Pause.
Pause.
So the White House actually runs cover for the president there and says 4 more years inaudible. And it's like, no, it was completely audible. Everybody heard him say pause.
Which also proved that pause, saying pause, also proved that was all plants
Yes.
in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
The 6 guys who started yelling 4 more years.
Yeah, wait for the totally organic 4 more years chant that we will make sure happens, and
Right.
then just stand there.
There's about 5 layers of cover being at play there or taking place. Think about it. It's okay. He's going out. He's clearly just a puppet candidate. He has no idea what he's saying. They know that, so they put everything on prompter. Okay. Then they have to prompt the audience to say 4 more years, right, and even pause. In other words, there's no organic reaction of any type of passion to this man. So they have to cover for him for that to make sure that he doesn't look like the idiot that he actually is. And after that, when he clearly says, as you just heard, 4 more years, pause, they run cover by in the transcript writing inaudible. Everything they're trying to sell you is a lie. I'm not going to hear it from people out there now who want to act like they're, no true Scotsman and conservatism is just about limited government and none of these things matter. We should focus on the issues. This is so dangerous. Do you understand how dangerous it is to have someone who is that incompetent and to see all of the people who will proactively lie to you just to maintain power? This is the issue. This is a huge issue. This is the issue. This guy is technically the most powerful man in the world. And he can't read a prompt. He can't read, period. He can't recognize if there's a human being there or not.
It's a total insult to our democracy too, because in theory he wins the election, right? It's in theory. I get there's disputes.
Right.
In theory, we vote him as the president, and that obviously he's not the president. Obviously, he's not making the decision.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
He's being carted out there like some kind of puppet. You said,
right?
So that's really frustrating to be like, oh yeah, vote for it again.
Right.
You don't know who you're voting for.
And by the way,
vote for the secret people behind the curtain.
Yes, you're right. And this, by the way, the think tanks out there, guess what? Because of all that, because of the lies, because of everything that we've just laid out, he also has proposed a 45% unrealized capital gains tax, which is incredibly harmful to the economy. So, yeah, guess what? You need to cut the head off of the beast. Figuratively. I'm just tired of hearing people say, this is about tax policy. This is about, really? How's that working out? Think about this for a second.
Is that why the Dow's down 600 points?
The Republican Party can lose to that.
Yeah.
That means that what you're doing isn't working. That guy shouldn't be able to beat anybody at anything ever. He needs to be in a recliner that basically has a fossil of the shape of his ass for the rest of his life.
Josh, you made a good point. The Dow's down 638 points as of right now. You know what unrealized capital gains tax means? It's not just moving the capital gains tax up to a point where it's absurd. You just start taking it as income at that point because you pay less taxes on it. It's unrealized. It's people that have stock that bought it for $1, and by God, they got incredibly lucky, and it's $100 a share now, and it's like, I want 45% of that. And you're like, hold on, but wait, I haven't cashed it out.
Right.
Hold on, my home value has gone up now. That's a capital gain if I sell it in a short period of time. Well, I haven't sold it yet. I haven't actually made any gains. It's all on paper.
Right.
We've had stock market crashes wipe stuff out. Are you going to reimburse me later on?
Yeah.
When that gain is not realized? That is one of the most insane things ever. And the business market looks at this and goes, holy crap.
Yeah.
They're suing Donald Trump for stuff that is normal in valuing your assets. And now they're proposing this kind of stuff. I think I'll take my money elsewhere. Thank you very much.
If you were to plan a way to completely destroy the economy, you couldn't do it more effectively.
No.
It'd be pretty tough.
I mean, 55%, I guess.
I guess. You're right. You're right. I
that would be
misspoke.
better.
Right? You could go a little higher.
I spoke out of turn.
Good Lord.
Would congressmen be immune to that law? Like Pelosi,
Would everyone's
Cruz?
401k be immune to that law? Again, it's just
true.
they can
Yeah.
provide exemptions for people who vote for. Remember, like with Obamacare, the waivers in certain districts, which were largely blue. Rules for thee, not for me. But Let's only keep talking about taxes and not the people who can enact them, who keep kicking your ass, Republicans. Can you tell I'm a little bit pissed? All right. By the way, you can also support us at crowdershop.com. You can get this Fight Like Hell shirt, everything we're wearing here, and more. Because, look, we're not actually funded by a foreign caliphate or giant 501c4 nonprofits and donors. We're funded by you, and we couldn't be more grateful.
Thank you. Yes.
This is actually organic. Unlike the protests, and I just want to make sure that I reiterate this because I saw this going on yesterday when people were saying, hey, how are these protests obviously aren't spontaneous on campus? Correct. How is this coming? Where's the funding coming from? Well, go watch our previous installment on it. It's terrorist organizations, the government of Qatar. We traced the money. We told you. So if you're watching this now and saying, all right, this isn't spontaneous, just remember, these people would not be out there protesting, disrupting your events on campus, if not for money that comes from organizations with terrorist ties and the government, Qatar, who is the single biggest foreign donor to American universities as far as a country. Also, the home front for Hamas, their headquarters.
Yeah.
So I just want to preface all of this. That's the premise. Go check those references. That's exactly what's happening. And now you see it going on. It happened at Harvard, happened at UT. So a couple of things to remember. Free speech is a constitutionally protected God-given right. I actually would even defend the right of students to simply say, I don't like Jews, which effectively is what some of them are doing, what all of them are doing. The issue is harassing. It's blocking other students from getting to their classes, obstructing traffic, right? Those are crimes. So I want to be clear. It's a very consistent argument. It's the same thing when we talk about big tech. And people say, it's a private business. No. They benefit from the government, Section 230. It's about transparency. It's about free speech. Yeah. And it's already a crime, by the way, to yell fire in a crowded theater. If there's no fire and you're deliberately trying to harm people, it's already a crime to obstruct traffic. It is not a crime to say something that people don't agree with. Are we clear on that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Good. I feel like some people are kind of missing the point.
They absolutely are.
And it's not about at all anti-Semitism. Now, it is for them. These people are anti-Semitic. If you look at the funding, they actually do want to eradicate Jews, and they hand out flyers with the phrase "Death to America." You can check our previous episodes to see that. All references are available. That's not the issue. The issue is crime and violence. So, before we get into UT, what happened at Austin, the media lies, which is just, at a certain point, you can just, anytime there's a protest, you can be guaranteed they will say it was peaceful. And if they're liberals, you can almost be guaranteed to know that it's not true. Let's start with this. Speaker Mike Johnson, who's disappointing right now, spoke at Columbia, and he called on the president there to resign.
We just can't allow this kind of hatred and anti-Semitism to flourish on our campuses, and it must be stopped in its tracks. Those who are perpetrating this violence should be arrested. And I'm here today joining my colleagues and calling on President Shafik to resign if she cannot immediately bring order to this chaos. As Speaker of the House, I am committing today that the Congress will not be silent as Jewish students are expected to run for their lives and stay home from their classes hiding in fear.
Also, you made a good point there. It was about the chaos. It was about the crime. It's about the violence. The less that Republicans use the term anti-Semitic, the more effective you'll be. Not saying that doesn't exist and not saying that a lot of these people don't hate Jews. Of course they do if they support Hamas. However, becomes white noise. Talk about the crime. That's what's most important. And as it relates to Columbia, we had some boots on the ground there. The truth is, we're going to get to Austin where it was a little spicier. Columbia just got pretty gay. Kind of?
We don't actually know what to do with us. We have hundreds of people in this space daily. They really need this space for commencement, even to the point that they would be willing to offer us an alternative. That's how much I want this space.
The proposal
is no big press.
Is no big press.
Details with politicians.
Details with politicians.
But we don't. Police the type. Of posts they make. And accept the support. With the understanding. With the understanding that politicians that don't like us, don't agree with our community agreements, etc., are gonna kind of do whatever anyways. Yeah? Okay, so all hands in favor of that proposal? All right, hands down, all opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Vote passes. Thank you for the clarification. Cool.
By the way, that's the least clear clarification ever.
They're just pretending at this point. They're just acting like protesters. They saw it somewhere in a movie, and they're like, I think this is what you do. You get together,
right,
and you repeat after somebody, which is really weird. It's like, and we're going to kill Sarah, and we're going to kill Sarah. Like, you can just make these people do whatever
I'm
you
Sarah.
want. Yeah. Sarah says it, like, and we're going to kill God, that's
no.
I love so much about that clip. I love that she forgot the speech and then just gave up trying to get them to repeat the chant. They're all like, we're not going to repeat the rest, all of that. We're all too dumb.
I got it from here.
And I also love that they don't actually care. They
don't vote.
They just want to fight. They're so starved for attention and confrontation. They're like, okay, they're kind of cool with our protest. I don't know what to do next. They said that they need the space. They really want it. Not enough to come out here. They offered us another space that we could also go to and protest.
I think they have donuts. Oh, yeah, okay. Hands up, donuts. Oh, let's go.
Yeah, everybody
they have a place with air conditioning, and they have free water and coffee. That's so fucking gay, dude.
Were there any other hands aside from our journalist?
I don't know.
Probably.
But apparently enough.
There had to be. There had to be.
By the way, you guys also need to be aware of this. Whenever they say, hey, they're trampling on our free speech, these same Students for Justice for Palestine, right? There's the Youth Palestine Committee Coalition, all these organizations. You can go to their social media profiles and see them constantly demanding the banning of anyone on campus with whom they disagree. They don't want any speakers who they accuse of being Zionists, just people who support Israel's right to exist. They don't want any speakers who they think are right-wing. And then they say, we have the right to speak while they block traffic. Whenever you hear the left say free speech, you know it's not true.
Right.
Whenever you hear them say Constitution, you know it's not true. Whenever you hear them say freedom of choice, you know it's not true because it only applies at that moment in time and never at any other. And by the way, in Austin, though, things got not only more contentious, but the media, of course, tried to carry the water. And you can send your tips to lwctips@protonmail.com. We are tracking some leads down right now. That wasn't really the undercover thing. It was just kind of, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
It's just gay. And you know what you're saying? Is it pejorative? Mm-hmm. So
let's take a vote. Who thinks that we should just pack up and go back to class?
I don't like class.
All right, well, I guess we'll just hang out.
I like it better when I'm not going to class.
That's why I paid for this.
Yeah.
My dad paid for it.
Yeah.
Or the taxpayer.
And I'll get it forgiven after, right? We're still getting our loans forgiven, right? That's what I want. If I want to have to pay back or not pay back, I vote not paying back the money. Right?
Yeah, I'm in.
Show of hands? Cool. Oh, yeah, and kill the Jews and stuff. So let's go to UT Austin, in our home state of Texas. And this is where you had pro-Hamas students and non-students, of course, gathered there. Here's a clip.
Demonstrators at UT Austin joining other college students across the country today protesting Israel's war with Hamas and demanding that their schools cut financial ties with Israel.
By the way, this is just a small kind of overlooked fact, demanding that they divest. Shut up.
Yeah.
Okay. This is what you see these kids going, it's just so we're seeing that the student body, that we're not being heard, as though you pay taxes, as though you're actually the customer. And I get you'd say, but let's be honest. It's either your parents in most cases or the government who's actually the customer because they're paying the bill. What gives you the right to tell someone else what to do with their money? What authority do you think you have? This is the complete misunderstanding of democracy or a representative republic. They have no idea. Let's just start with that. We demand. No.
Don't demand.
No, we're done. We're done here. Okay, go. You're blocking traffic because of something that you have no right to demand in the first place. So let's go.
It's also a dumb request. Divest from what? They did the same thing at Columbia. Basically, that was one of their things. Like, you have to divest from all things Israel, basically. And I'm like, so if there's a Jewish person involved in this company or in this organization or in this fund, I can't make money?
Right.
Do you know how limiting that will be?
Right.
And it doesn't make any sense to begin with.
Because there are so many Jews in business.
No, it's a stupid request. It's like...
Because there are so many Jews in business.
It's like in Die Hard, where it's like, in the 7 members of the Crimson Dawn, I read about them in Time magazine. Like, it's like somebody gave them a list to say, make sure they divest from all that stuff they get money from Israel. Like, well, you're an idiot.
It's like, look, how about a compromise? Okay. We get to hit you with pepper spray and beanbag bullets, and we'll stop buying Manischewitz wine for the quad.
Hey,
everyone's happy.
Seems fair.
Manischewitz wine is not very good.
No more gefilte fish in the cafeteria, and we get to hit you with rubber bullets.
Yeah.
I think everyone, this is a fair compromise where nobody is happy.
We'll aim for the torso.
Yes.
Well, this is horse shit. There's no more hummus in the cafeteria. Yeah, remember last week, Sarah?
Yeah. We all protested.
Jews eat hummus? Where do you think Israel is? I thought Poughkeepsie. So, here's the claim that the media made regarding UT Austin. All the references are publicly available. Okay, it's not just about the protests. It's about your enemy is not, just to be clear, these students. It's not who is in the White House. I've talked about this in the past. When I was at Fox News for years, I said, problem is if a Republican comes into office, then we're not the opposition media, so that's not as good of a place to be financially. These conversations took place. I said, wait, you think that you're opposing Washington, D.C. and not Hollywood, New York, ad agency? No. It's about the media, entertainment, political, industrial complex. They carry the water for these. These students are just useful pawns. So their claim is it was all peaceful. Okay. My problem is with the media echoing that. The truth, no, it wasn't.
Police Department. Your conduct is a violation of Penal Code Section 4203, obstructing a highway or the passageway. I command you in the name of the people of the state of Texas to disperse. And if you do not, you shall be arrested for the violation of the Penal Code as well as the Texas Penal Code for criminal trespass.
Pretty clear.
Afuera! Afuera! Afuera!
Did you see that one guy losing his... I don't think we have the clip. Guys, you can pull it. The one guy losing his mind, going down the row of cops. I have you haven't paid. He's like, all right, thanks for your support.
Back the blue? No.
Let's take the numbers 9, 1, and 1. Well, the ones it's only one number. Let's take them off your phone.
Yeah, let's take them off the phone.
Yes.
I said the 1, 1.
It's hard to do digitally.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use like a hammer, like a mallet and a nail to take out those specific places. But they could probably get an app where they could have 911 audio.
Forget I said it.
No, it's good in theory.
Yeah, well,
it's good in thery. The principle's the same.
I was thinking a rotary phone, but
So they and here's it's not about what you're saying. You're breaking the law when you're obstructing people's freedom of movement. They're trying to get to class. This is what happened in the 60s. We'll get to Kent State in a second. Everyone else at Kent State was super, super pissed off because of the riots, because they were trying to attend classes and it was being disrupted. And we've seen this happen across the country. We've seen what's happened at Columbia, at NYU, at Harvard, which became incredibly violent. And they said, we're not going to do this at UT. We are not going to allow this to escalate to that point, because you know what happens? When you allow it to escalate, it gets more violent. The police gave them an opportunity to disperse. They didn't. So this comes from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Education, right? And this is the nation's leading student protest advocacy group. They said, the police or college can remove and possibly punish you for disruptive activity, like blocking traffic or interrupting classes.
And that's what it's good that you had that in the FAQ.
So good.
That's clear.
So we're done here. We're clear. Here's another claim that they extended it not only to students, and I want you to comment below, because if I have a blind spot, then I genuinely want to know. It seemed like some people actually bought this line of what I would refer to as horseshit. They were saying that the police they're being so abusive, they're even arresting innocent journalists. And then when I saw the clip, I said, wait, are you watching the same thing I am? But this is their claim first.
Who are you with?
I'm with Fox 7.
Fox 7, what's your name?
Carlos.
Carlos, what do you think of this?
I think it's, they were pushing me, and they say that I hit an officer. I didn't hit an officer. They were pushing. You know what I mean?
Okay, Carlos.
They were pushing me.
Okay, I want to skip ahead to the clip MSM arrest because he said that, and then of course the media Fox 7 implied, or they tried to make you think that the police were just sweeping up journalists along with the lawbreakers indiscriminately.
We were up here closer to the protest. The DPS has just pushed all of these protesters off of the grass in the middle of the plaza here. And as they were doing that, one of the Fox 7 photographers got caught up in that. And they did put him in handcuffs. They took his gear and him. And that photographer is in this van here to be transported, assumedly, to jail.
So let's be clear here, because you're about to see the clip and you're going to say, well, maybe at that point in time, people didn't know. Well, he knew. He knew. Yeah. Carlos knew. And he said, I wasn't pushing an officer. I wasn't hitting an officer. I was pushed. Okay. They say he was pushed, right? He got swept up in it. Now, here's the truth. And seldom do you actually have verifiable claims, and in my opinion, get to witness that they are completely false. He clearly, aggressively, if not hit, assaulted, pushed into an officer with no one behind him forcing his hand. There he is. There he is. No one behind him. Sees a cop. There you go. No one behind him. Boom. Let's slow that down. All right, here you go. There you go. There he is. No one behind him. Who's pushing him? And then officer, and then
It's like he lifted his camera up and shoved it into the officer.
Yeah. And he's doing it for a while before another.
Yeah, it took a second before the officers gave him a second. Yeah. They're like, oh, maybe it's an accident. No, he's pushing.
Yeah.
He's not charging. What's the pushing the line? Like, yeah.
He was even out of the line. Like the officers had gone past him. There was literally nothing going on. For the first frame, he was kind of in the mix, and then he moves back to get out of it. The officers are kind of going past him. Then he's like, hey, I'm going to re-engage. Go up
and by the way, he's not engaging. He can't get a shot. The camera is on the helmet.
Yeah.
So you again, imagine this is you with your camera phone. Would you think that you could do that to an officer from behind, consequence-free? Is this poor innocent little Carlos, as the media has portrayed it? Or do you think that this guy is a professional instigator, sorry, piece of shit, who just for this time happened to get caught? Here's another view from the cameraman. Oh, that's right. It's his camera. Did he make contact with the officer? There he is.
It's so clear.
Let's play it again, and then I want to go back to that slow-mo, okay? Because watch this. Let's count how long he's making contact with the officer. Because here's the thing. It's very important. No one is pushing him. So if no one is pushing him, your job as a photographer, as he's labeled, is to get the shot. How do you get a shot if you are up on helmet, shoulder, torso? What shot are you trying to get? What footage are you trying to get? No one pushed you there. That's irrefutable. So is this some kind of new Dutch cabinet of Dr. Caligari angle that I'm not quite used to? Let's play it again and let's count how long he's making contact with the officer.
You want it slow-mo first?
Let's play that one real speed. That
real
last
speed,
one from his
here we
angle. Okay. And right there. Pushes it in. 1.
There's a hand
2,
on his back, too.
3, 4.
All right.
Call it 4 to 5 seconds of making contact, and that officer's not looking. He doesn't know what that hard object is.
And also, this is a very tense situation with protesters. He has no idea what's going on other than he is trying to move people back, and he's getting pushed from behind for 4 seconds at least, and finally turns around and does the reasonable thing and says, whoever's pushing me from behind, I got to get them off of me.
Right.
I can't fight a battle on two fronts.
So 4 seconds, let's go back to that slow-mo, and you tell me the reason for doing that. I think let's play the slow-mo portion
here we
of
go,
it.
about 60% of it.
All right. So,
there you go.
No, sorry. Can we do the slow-mo, the other one where we have the other shot with the circle?
Slow-mo.
If you do slow-mo on that one too, you'll see a hand come up and grab the officer's back pouch.
Yeah.
Like, I would assume it's a camelback pouch, but you can see a hand grab his
By the way, they didn't beat his ass. They got him off of the guy
and arrested
him.
They might have done some camera damage, but
and he'll probably get off scot-free.
They didn't baton him. They didn't tase him.
So 4 to 5 seconds. Do we all agree? 4 to 5 seconds where he's making contact, where he could not possibly get any kind of footage on his camera. Now let's see, why would he do that? Again, was he pushed as he claimed and the media did? Okay, who's pushing him? Anyone behind him?
Maybe the big hip lady's bag?
Nope.
Nope.
Nothing. And then 4 seconds of contact and shoving. Until he gets
Another
pulled
officer
off.
sees it, pulls him. There you go.
Which I would argue is incredibly gentle.
There you go.
That's just my point.
You know what Carlos could have said? I tripped.
Yeah.
If that's really what happened, Carlos, I tripped. Nobody pushed you from behind. And by the way, that is the most reasonable thing to happen, and for the mainstream media to run out with. They're arresting journalists at UT Austin protests. It's like, no, just watch the film. Well, but nobody will. They'll just keep running with it.
I like to give the benefit of the doubt, especially with a journalist. I want to give him, the benefit of the doubt. Things happen. Chaos is happening. It's just hard. It's really hard to believe that he went to pushing. I don't think he felt someone pushing him. I don't think he tripped. I want to say maybe he's trying to get a good shot. He's trying to get really close in on there. But even if that's the case, you can't cry about it afterwards. Like, oh, I didn't do anything. Like, you got to be like, yeah, shit, I accidentally ran into a cop. What happened? I got too close.
I got too close.
I got too close, and cops did what they do.
Yeah.
Protect themselves and their squad.
Yeah. Because I don't unilaterally back the blue. I do not think that was an abuse of authority. That was as far as he knew, an active, immediate threat. And I think this matters because I think this guy is lying. But you also have to allow for some leeway here of some misunderstandings. If you're an officer, you're going in, that's a big part of what happened at Kent State. You just know National Guard went out and murdered kids. No, that's not what happened. Tragedy, sure. But what happened if you know about the days of rioting and buildings being burned down and police being on edge? I would imagine that this cop probably on edge. And so I think his friend coming in to help him and just horse collaring him. Hey, I think that's actually
doing his
pretty
job.
appropriate.
Like, you're supposed to have the back of those people in the front line. Otherwise, they get swarmed and they get taken away. You remember in the Chicago protest, the Summer of Love stuff, where cops were literally dragged into the protesters and the other police couldn't get to them? You have to make sure that those people have your back.
And I've lived this on the flip side, right? At the Lansing Right to Work protest, where guy obviously sucker punched me on national television. He had 10 union members follow me to my car, say they were going to kill me with a gun. You hear them on camera saying they're going to kill me with a gun. And the media came out and said, oh, Stephen Crowder pushed him first. But the footage clearly shows he's falling into me.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to say he tripped and thought that I pushed him because he was drunk and I was getting soused off of secondhand vapors, fine. The media never corrected it. And you had a liberal DA there.
Yeah.
Nothing ever came of it. And I had gigabytes of footage that was never even submitted as evidence for a deposition I didn't know about and wasn't even there. That happened. You need to know that the media sets the tone for the law. And sometimes you have DAs, sometimes you have prosecutors who are looking for evidence to say, okay, there's nothing here. Or they're looking for evidence to convict. This cop this is police brutality. Why? Because look, everyone's reported on it. And they will cite media. They will cite New York Post. They will cite the Lansing Journal. They will cite the Austin Chronicle as evidence. So let's be really clear about that. Now, something else, this guy maybe was a little bit tired, could have used some pep in his step. I don't know if you know this. Yesterday, we ran this clip, and a lot of you thought that this was fake. It was not. It was not a sketch. This actually happens in India. This was a whole thing about Indian medicine, cow urine.
Here in the western state of Gujarat, cow urine is being used to treat a whole range of ailments.
Many people know that cow urine is beneficial and that it has lots of herbs in it. So, by and large, people are not reluctant to take it.
Now, I know what you would think. That's not the best spokesperson.
Yeah, really.
You see that face, and you're like, it's not healthy.
Here's the thing. He is not the official spokesperson.
He's not?
No, he's a doctor. Now,
of course, of course, he looks like one.
But they do have a spokesperson. It turns out that, and especially these protesters could take note, if you need some pep in your step, they actually use the cow urine. We found this was unearthed in India. They have an energy drink.
Really?
Yeah, and they have a different spokesperson. India, it's a cow piss energy drink. We found it.
Gosh.
Oh, man, I'm so tired. Oh, I feel so sick. Oh. Drink piss.
Cow piss heals all sickness and disease.
Oh, I got a paper cut.
Get pissed. Cow piss helps you make drive less badly. Get pissed. Cow piss makes you have strong and run for fast. Get pissed. Get pissed.
The hell was that?
Cow piss makes like all bad things good things.
Get pissed. Are you pranking me or something, Josh? What's going on here? Come on, I am pissed. Obviously, I'm pissed.
Well, no, I just wanted you to take a sip of this piss because it makes like all the bad things good things.
Get
Piss is good for all the peoples. Drink it and you will get pissed.
Can we license that at crowdershop.com?
I think we should. We will sell cow piss on crowdershop.com.
Yeah, it's got herbs.
There was a question.
Herbs.
That?
Lots of herbs.
Herbs.
You can go straight to the source, guys.
Yeah. Well, we're not farmers. So here's the...
No taurine, by the way.
No,
It's
no.
got herbs.
By the way, there's nothing wrong with taurine. That's a whole thing. Anyway.
It's got pisting.
You have all these health gurus on Instagram like, taurine is the toxic. Just shut up.
Whatever.
It's an amino acid, all right? If you don't need to drink energy drinks because it's probably not good for you, you don't know what's in there, but there's nothing wrong with taurine. Just please stop. Stop. I get it. You think cancer is going to be cured by your carnivore diet. Enough. Here's the
testicles.
Speaking of BS, here's the other claim that you see with these protests. And they try and draw these comparisons, and then they fit in a comparison that is actually completely incomparable. They'll say, this is just like Tiananmen Square.
Right. Exactly the same.
Wait, the Tiananmen Square what?
Yeah.
Do we have the footage of the tank running over the kids?
Yeah, so here's the truth.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's not Tiananmen. It's not even Kent State, which also isn't even Kent State as you think you know it.
gosh.
But here's actually some footage from Tiananmen Square.
Oh, there's tanks.
Yeah. So tanks and 10,000 students were killed in Tiananmen Square.
Jeez.
10,000. And by the way, while you're out there protesting, I don't know if you know this, still the same Communist Chinese Party, the government, I don't know if it's still gross violations of human rights. I don't know where the protests are on campus. You can look at all these activist groups on Instagram and on Twitter.
Yeah.
You could still actively fight against the de facto government of Tiananmen Square. 10,000 students killed. In Austin, a journalist who shoved a cop was arrested, and we don't even know if he's going to be convicted. This isn't even Kent State, to be clear. And just to give you some context, there are all references available at louderwithcrowder.com. We put the link in the description. What do you know about Kent State? What do you know about Kent State? You probably know about, I believe it was 12 or 13 seconds and 60-something rounds being fired and people. And yep, horrible, just to be clear, that students died. No one wants that to happen. But are you aware, why was the National Guard sent in there? Because a lot of people look back and go, back then, you just had a fascist like Nixon, and it was all peaceful protest. Not like these kids today, right? I didn't leave the Democrat Party. They left me. No. Kent State, the reason the National Guard was sent in was because there was 3 days of rioting.
Wow.
There was looting, there were fires, including, by the way, multiple attempts, and then a final successful one, burning down the campus ROTC building. Rounds were being fired off throughout the night because they were storing ammo there. The kids burned it down. The mayor, actually, at that point, tried to put a curfew in place, basically told stores that they could no longer sell liquor. And because, so what, we can't get wasted now? Which I think is actually a pretty sensible thing to do.
Bad. Yeah. Absolutely. They also wouldn't let them put out the fires. They actually blocked the firemen from going in there and actually putting out the fires.
They wouldn't let them put out the fires. And the local police, because of the 3 days of rioting, and at that point there had been police officers who had been assaulted, they were being called to the campus. They said, we know we're going to have another night of looting and fires. And they said, we have to protect our own. We can't send all of our officers down there. So they requested the National Guard. The National Guard went in, they ran some dry runs in a field, and they had knives and rocks thrown at them. By the way, none of this is in dispute. There are other things that are in dispute. For example, there may have been some agitators there who deliberately tried to escalate things so that the National Guard fired. Take that, combine it with an old school gas mask. You know what that's like? It's foggy. You can't breathe. Imagine you've been running drills, right, and dry runs, rehearsals, whatever you want to call it, in these open fields while kids are assaulting you throughout the day. Probably be a little bit hectic. Maybe you have some ricochet. Maybe you have some backfire sound because one round gets fired and all of a sudden more. But if you want to believe that this was just the National Guard sent in by Nixon to shoot students for no reason. Oh, one other key fact. Most of the students were exhausted and furious with these activists. They wanted to get to their class, and after 3 days, something had to be done. Not a good thing that students were shot. But we often hear the National Guard was sent in and shot kids. Why were they sent in? Doesn't that matter? No. If 30, 40 years from now they say, look, you had the state police going to Austin, but you don't tell the story of what's happened across the country at Columbia and Harvard and Jews being blocked from even attending their classes, and well, then you're simply lying to the people, just like you're lying to people when you say there was an era of objective journalism, and there isn't. And one final note, I cannot reiterate this enough. If you are wondering, how is this happening across the country, and how am I seeing so many videos out there of these kids who have no idea why they are even there? We've covered this. Go click that video. The protests are organized by Students for Justice in Palestine, who are connected to Hamas-linked nonprofits, organizations, and the government of Qatar, who happens to be the base for Hamas headquarters and is the single largest foreign donor to American universities. Qatar. The money is coming from terrorism. To be clear, these students are useful idiots to them. That is not in dispute. Please reiterate that and let everybody know so that you actually have your eyes wide open. I think it's pretty important for people to know what's going on here. All right. So as we go on to the West Coast with what is happening, there's Josh. Do you mind? Josh?
Huh?
Yeah. Do you mind?
Oh, sorry, Stephen. I was doing my taxes. I filed late this year.
Yeah. Do you mind? We're in the middle of a show.
Bad
Josh.
form, Josh. Come on.
But my taxes were due like last Monday. And
okay.
I just got...
Do it after the show, Josh, at the very least. And why the typewriter?
I don't trust computers. You know, they're all connected, AI, stuff like that. So
that's actually a pretty good point. But it's too loud.
Oh, too loud. Oh, okay, I got you. It's too loud. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I'll put it down.
All right. So moving on now with this program on the West Coast, it turns out that when you actually tolerate and you welcome, encourage certain behaviors, that you end up getting more of said. Josh? Huh. Josh, come on. Okay, come on.
What? You said it was too loud, so I got something quieter.
There's an easier way, Josh.
Yes, there is. It's Tax Network USA. That's the way. You can go to tnusa.com/Crowder. They will take care of your taxes for you.
Okay, so they know what to do with all these?
Your taxes, yes. That I don't know.
Okay. Well, what about this? Do I need this?
I can't imagine why. So on the West Coast, as we go to...
We're never going to get to this story.
The golden state of crime. I don't know if you know this, but this representative with a panic... Son of a...
Is he doing it again?
Josh, what are you doing?
Josh.
I'm going to taxnetworkusa.com, tnusa.com for my tax.
What about the AI?
Oh... I forgot. Good point.
After the show, Josh.
Okay,
after the show.
Fine.
Don't be overwhelmed by tax issues. You can contact Tax Network USA for some relief expert guidance. We use them here at tnusa.com/Crowder.
But after the show.
Let's go now.
Sorry, I just thought save time.
Simple concept.
It's rude.
If you tolerate and encourage behavior like crime, turns out you get more crime. California is the perfect example of that. The Los Angeles mayor, Karen, that's her name.
Well, that's perfect, actually.
Karen Bass, her house was almost robbed Sunday morning, and it's not funny, but it's kind of funny.
Meanwhile, LAPD detectives are continuing to investigate how a man managed to break into Mayor Bass's home in Windsor Square. It happened early Sunday morning. That man is now in custody, and according to detectives, he has a violent past.
It's funny when they say that man is now in custody and she walks out. Was I the only one?
Yeah.
No, not the same thing, because I was like, oh, finally, they're going to show the guy's face.
Yeah, the editor did that intentionally.
Yes.
Yeah, they won't show the face of the perp, though.
The man in question, who appears to be a Guess Who character.
That'd be a hard one to guess, man. You're like, who is it, Dr. J? I don't know.
That brings us to this week's golden state of crime. All right, so to be pretty quick with this, mayor, house robbed, okay, caught the perp, guy's name is Ephraim Hunter, right? Was booked on suspicion of burglary after getting to the house, made it to the second floor.
Which is weird.
Which is,
Like, this is the mayor. Don't you have any security at
The
all?
mayor was in a panic room when the person arrived.
Yeah.
And a really crappy panic room because it's all glass. So it just allows them to terrify you for hours until the cops
Or
arrive.
you can just moon the suspect.
You can
get in.
But I don't know. That's baiting them at that
It's like an
point.
invitation.
I mean, not that lady, for sure.
And here's what this person's a former home in Baldwin Vista, I think it was also burgled. So
Same guy? I think there might be something there. Maybe like a Pelosi situation.
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know.
I love this. I love it. You get exactly what you deserve.
Well, here's the thing. In California, this has been going on for such a long time because priorities, they actually have coined a term for it, and they have to use it with a straight face. Here's local media.
South American organized crime groups have been burglarizing some of San Diego's most affluent neighborhoods. It's known as burglary tourism. They apply for tourist visas online.
I like her
rely
ocean
on what
camouflage
investigators
dress, too.
consider a weak vetting system to get approved into the U.S. Investigators say they're tough to catch because they stick around for a while, burglarize a bunch of homes, and then return to their home country and are replaced by a new group of thieves. The DA says they carefully select homes to target, often along canyons and other open space areas, which they use to slip in and out undetected.
Oh, it's almost like they're burglars.
Don't worry. They leave a good Google review.
Their plan is to break in, steal things, and then get away with it.
They call it burglary tourism. Also, of interesting note, I'd like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden. Back to you, Bob.
Under the sea.
They call it
Oh my gosh.
burglary tourism, which, by the way, has prompted yet another reboot from Lionsgate, the out-of-towner rapists. It's just trying to sanitize.
There we go.
People on audio, it makes no sense. So, and a lot of these people are illegal immigrants, of course. Sorry, we can't say illegal
They
aliens anymore.
applied for a tourist visa. They even signed the guest book.
Reason for visa? Burglaring.
Pedro Hernandez, yes, every time you come to this country, crime goes up. Approved. Must be a coincidence.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but it's almost as though they've made this bed. For example, like you have these bail laws in California that basically allow tourists to just go back to their home countries no matter what.
The so-called burglary tourists have law enforcement demanding change to the Electronic System for Travel Authorization, or ESTA, which allows up to 90-day visits to the U.S. from certain countries, including Chile, which Spitzer says is not providing the required background checks on its citizens.
Oh, they're not?
If we don't know the criminal background of these individuals, then we can't tell the judge anything or represent anything about the background, which means the person's released on no bail and they never come back again.
So do you mean to say that there's a problem with people entering this country without proper identification? Let's apply that same problem to voting. Now, you see what's happened in California. We've covered this a bunch of times, right? The crime rates are much higher than the rest of the United States. So their violent crime, their property crime, motor vehicle theft, all of those are significantly higher. We'll make all the references publicly available. This is what happens. You don't need a crystal ball to see this. And they'll label you as tough on crime, right? If you're like, hold on a second, we shouldn't just allow them to commit crimes and no cash bail and go back to their home countries. It's almost as though it's consequence free. Yeah. There's no penalty for crime. It's no mystery why the new Grand Theft Auto game is releasing another one, yet again, based out of California. So you have...
You gotta have some titties on the cover of GTA. Yeah.
You have crime. You have an economy that is forcing people to flee the most beautiful state in the union. I will give California that.
Yeah.
It is you have to
100%.
try hard to screw up that state to get people
They've tried
to leave.
very hard.
And what is their priority? Hey, the role of government would be to keep citizens safe, to ensure fair play, that the laws are being obeyed. No. They're spending taxpayer money, and Gavin Newsom is doing this, by the way, to run pro-abortion ads for Alabama.
We're almost there. You're gonna make it.
It's like the final scene in The Descent, driving away from the cave.
Criminalize young Alabama
And
women
they just
who
look
travel
back. They
for
missed that.
reproductive care.
She's also
Watch this.
I'm going to need you to step out of the vehicle, take a pregnancy test.
Stop them by taking action at righttotravel.org. Campaign for Democracy Group is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Get pissed!
Give me your pins. Hey, can we go back to that, please? Do you mind? I think it's a California license plate.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Go back.
Let's see.
Let's see if it's true.
I don't know what Alabama looks like, but...
Oh, wait.
Oh, you got to go back further.
up.
Tim.
That one?
No, let's go. It's a little further in. Like, yeah.
We'll just play it again.
When the officer's walking up, it says 777.
Let's see.
Trump Republicans want to criminalize young Alabama women who travel for
It's Alabama.
It is Alabama. Oh, okay. Well, I do like that they specified young women. They don't care about old women, just young women.
Well, those women didn't have an accent.
No.
But here's the
Only
thing.
the officer did.
Hold on.
I don't know how babies are made.
And the officer's accent was really bad.
I just thought it's something we do for fun on the weekends.
I have watched Dukes of Hazzard, and all you got to do is get across the state line, Josephine. You were only 1 mile away.
I didn't know a human was growing inside me. I didn't know the sponge was supposed to be wet.
Did they make the baby together, those two girls?
I have no idea. I want you to believe that can happen, too. I mean, hey, just think, this is what first off, why is California spending any money on ads in Alabama? And what made them think it was a good idea to be driving like that ending scene in The Descent away from the cave where the crazy Asian lady and then a police officer come up like, I'm going to need you to piss on this stick.
And also, I don't know who this is for, but there's like Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona between Alabama and California. It's not like the state line.
Nailed it. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean, I know a little geography, and that's a day and a half trip if you don't stop.
Well, we were taking a little road trip.
You got to go through El Paso to get there. Like, it's a long drive.
Yeah. And by the way, I know you shouldn't refer to them. I'm not saying that all women who don't know about abortion are whores, but I am saying that if you and your girlfriend are making it an outing to drive across 4 states to get an abortion, and you're going to put that much care into terminating a life, but you wouldn't into using a rubber, you're probably looser than the average Susie. Just a guess. And by the way, this is what they're spending. Priorities. And so what do you get? You get more crime. Hey, hopefully, though, you're playing the long game. You'll also get that investment from those tourist abortionists. This is why the rest of the country has actually been forced to respond with their own ad.
Foreign guys in ski masks steal your jewelry collection. Bail bond rules that don't exist give liberals an erection. If you want these things to change, vote red in this election. Keep your Californication with your panic room in the basement. Keep your Californication far from all the rest of the nation.
That's America. So let's just be really clear with this here. And yeah, I'm getting, I don't want to say testy these days, but I get it. Look, I get that a lot of you are tired. But understand that's what the left is banking on. The left is banking on you being tired because you had 2016, you had 2020. They know that a lot of you feel defeated. This really is the most important election of our time. And it dawned on me when I was going back to see what we did with the previous elections and to see what I was doing on, if you're watching on YouTube still, I don't know why, on this channel in 2009. And I noticed, oh, wait a second, so many videos that have been removed. And then it hit me, I did those things in 2009. 15 because it was still kind of seen as a novelty. We could still talk about elections and we could still talk about illegal immigrants back then. We could still criticize even Black Lives Matter. For example, when we talked about Tamir Rice, when we talked about Mike Brown, we could have guests on and talk about it. You're not allowed to do any of that anymore. It has accelerated so rapidly and they are trying to, in an unprecedented way, stop the man who you right now. Let's stop. Let's put a really fine point on this here. If the election were held today, Donald Trump wins the popular vote and electoral college. They want to make sure you don't have that choice. You've already chosen right now. Now that may change. It'll oscillate. You've chosen. They want to stop it. That's how much they fear it. It's not about the man. It's about this moment in history right now. You hear it all the time. I've never endorsed a candidate in my life. I've always said that's not my job. I've always said, I believe in the past, this probably isn't it's an important election. I don't know if I would say the most. This is certainly the most important election in my lifetime. Because if you're at this point in history and you're not willing to fight, then just give up. You kind of are at a crossroads. You either have to give up or fight. Your speech, that's absolutely on the line in a way that it has never been. Your country, borders, that's absolutely on the line. Your freedom, as it relates to what you can do economically, what you can do religiously, what you can, your tax dollars, this election, you're looking at after this election, if things continue with the status quo, your tax dollars will go to gender studies degrees, will go to provide abortions, will go to subsidize green companies that are basically big money laundering schemes, will go to packing the Supreme Court, and will go to supporting big tech organizations who seek to destroy your ability to speak forever going forward. Make no mistake, that stranglehold is at play. And of course, your tax dollars will go to protect and facilitate more crime if you live in states like California and New York. We've never had this in the past where we haven't seen that acceleration of everything in a negative direction. Economy, crime, freedoms, integrity of our institutions. We've never seen that in my lifetime. Even going back to Barack Obama. Again, he was a radicalist, and that's true. He was a radicalist. That's what we have now. How much worse do you think it gets? Because I don't know. I don't know how much worse it can get other than you cease to have a country when you have 7.5 approximately illegal immigrants who've been apprehended at this border, or at least that we know of at this point, border crossings. When you have a sitting former vice president say, if you don't allow your children, I think not supporting your children in transition is is a great evil. He said that, encouraging riots, encouraging policies that result in you having to deal with crime, supporting the worst behavior among us and demanding that becomes the culture of America, removing your ability to vote for who you have already chosen as the next president of the United States. Right now, we are April 24th, are we April 25th? April 25th, 2024. You, the United States, you've chosen who you want for president right now. You have. It could change, but today you've chosen in a way that would be in line with precedent, and they have decided by any means necessary to remove your choice, and by any means necessary to ensure that women have the choice to abort babies up until 9 months. Just when they say choice, they don't mean it. It is the most important election of our time. Crime is just one component. But let's apply what's happening in California to this country. So it turns out that California, we have it as a petri dish. If you encourage crime or you tolerate it, of course you eventually encourage it, and you have things like no cash bail or New York City. Guess what? You get more crime. Let's apply that to our border. Turns out if you don't enforce our laws, turns out if you don't build a wall, turns out if you don't actually have a border, you encourage a record number of illegal aliens to come into this country, who, by the way, also disproportionately contribute to crime, and destroy your country and economy to the point that it ceases to be. You tolerate crime, you encourage it, you enable it, you get more crime. You tolerate illegal immigration, you encourage it, you pander to it for votes, guess what? You get more of that, and you no longer have a country. But don't take my word for it. Why do we know that these migrants are choosing California to commit crimes? Well, because they say so. How do we know that illegal immigrants are coming to this country? Because of the policies directly from this administration? Because they tell you.
Would you have tried to do this when Donald Trump was president?
Definitely not.
So did you come here because Joe Biden was elected president?
Basically.
So
basically.
That's what Monday night is about, you know, to not give away everything, but I don't want to say tease, but we're still working on crossing our T's and dotting our I's. Monday night, 8 p.m., we're in AM. 8 p.m. Eastern, we'll be streaming live. Some rules are going to be changing here because it's too important to continue doing what it is that not only what we're doing, but what we see being done from those on our side. I am far more pissed off with what we are seeing from Republicans. When you just see this aid bill, I am far more pissed off with people who put on our team jersey and continually stab this movement in the back, or even through incompetence. There are some changes that we can make, that we want to make, that we want you to take part in making. It's going to become a more interactive experience where the question we most often get is, what can you do? You feel helpless. We can't solve all of it, but we really have tried to troubleshoot this. And Monday night, we've got some ideas on how you can be enlisted to help and to ensure that we still have a country after November 2024. It's that important. If you're watching on Rumble, click that button. You can support us at Mug Club. None of this happens without you. And if you're watching on YouTube, I seriously doubt that this will remain up on YouTube. But just out of, I guess, ceremony, piss off.